There we go.
Got it? There are only 4 types of marine reptiles. Sea turtles, sea snakes, marine iguanas, and saltwater crocodiles. And those things, they're all over the place. Of course, you know, like sea turtles, there's about 6 or 7 different species of those, so we're going to study all of them. Actually, not 6 or 7 different families or orders and such. So anyway, we'll, I guess it's order, I think it's orders of turtles. We're going to take a look at each of these here today. And you see, we just studied fish. So these were all the fish that we were studying. And after amphibians, there's fish, and then amphibians came around. And then there's the reptile group, which includes turtles, snakes and lizards, and crocodiles. And there's birds, and there's mammals, and we'll study. So this chapter we study reptiles, birds, and mammals, basically. Last chapter was fish. There aren't really any marine amphibians. Fish, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So we did fish, so we'll do reptiles now. Sea turtles are all covered under the Endangered Species Act. They're all going extinct. And that's because of several different things. A lot of them get caught in the nets that fishermen use. They're slow, so they'll get hit by boats and stuff. Some of them are just killed directly for meat. Turtle soups and stuff. But most of them, the reason why they die is because they're running out of habitat to lay their eggs. And if you're from around here, you probably know that they crawl up on the beach to lay their eggs. And we're going to go to the Sea Turtle Center and look at the turtles that they have over there. That's one of our class trips coming up. All sea turtles have powerful jaws but no teeth. They are poikilothermic and ectothermic. That basically means their body temperature matches their surroundings. Is what those words are. Their body temperature changes a lot and it matches their surroundings. So these we call these cold-blooded, and that's how fish are too. They'll be whatever temperature that the ocean is. Now there are some really big turtles, and the bigger your body gets, the more heat stays inside you. And so the really big turtles are actually a little bit warmer than the water temperature. You know what the biggest type of sea turtle is? Nope. Good guess. Leatherback. There's a green sea turtle.
Do we have all of them here?
I don't think so.
What do we have here?
I think some of them are Pacific. Another green sea turtle's here. There's a couple turtles mating. They might all be here.
We have leatherbacks?
Yeah, we have leatherbacks.
Three loggerheads?
Loggerheads we have. We might have them all here. Hawksbill, there are leatherbacks, there are green sea turtles, hawksbill, leatherback, Did I say that one already? We may have them all here. They have internal fertilization. The male gets on the back of the female and puts sperm into the female's body. That's how most land creatures do it. And sea turtles are evolved from turtles that came back to the sea from the land. So they evolved the internal fertilization and then later returned to the sea. So they still do it that way. And the females, they'll mate, and the females will hold the sperm in their body for months. And the females mate with a lot of different males. They aren't monogamous. They sleep around a bit. And so they'll have sperm from 6, 7 different males inside of them. And they'll just slowly fertilize their eggs as they produce them from this mass of sperm. And then they'll, once about every 3 or 4 years, they'll return to land and deposit their eggs near the dune line, above the high tide line.
So all the eggs are just mixtures of different turtles?
Yes. It's the mother with maybe 5 or 6 or 7 males. So different eggs have different dads. And so they'll breed like once every 3 or 4 years, and during their breeding year, the females lay up to 7 clutches of eggs, which means they'll come up usually at the highest tide, and they'll crawl up to the dunes, and they'll lay a clutch of eggs, and then they'll go back in the water, and another month later or 2 weeks later, they'll do it again.
They don't like stay next to their mates, right?
They don't. They'll lay the eggs and they leave. They bury the eggs. One clutch of eggs might have 120 eggs. It depends on the species, though. Some lay a bunch more eggs than others. Then the eggs hatch a few weeks later, and the little baby turtles go back into the ocean. Usually they do this at night so that the birds and such won't eat them. But the odds of you surviving all the way to adulthood if you're a baby turtle are really slim. Maybe 1 in 100. Because you normally get eaten by something. Here's a big leatherback turtle.
Dead.
No?
Things fall on the beach.
Yeah.
That big.
Well, see, I don't know where these are. If they're on our beaches. It's a good question.
I've seen like turtles crawling.
This is stuff we can ask them when we go to the turtle center. They crawl up at night, and then they lay their eggs, and then they crawl back, and you don't, unless you're out of the beach at night looking for them, you don't see it happening. Now, they don't like to go to places they like places with big beaches and big dunes and such, and so you don't get as many coming up here on St. Simon's. A lot of them will lay on Jekyll. And then the beaches that don't have any people living on them get a lot more action. There's one laying its egg. Some video footage.
This is Adventure in Wildlife. Powered by the Paxton Brothers.
13. That's about 20.
We're gonna see last count that was past 20 eggs.
It's been fascinating to watch this. We're filming at night vision. We're being very quiet not to disturb her.
So we're gonna see when she gets out of here, what she puts down. Let's get back and see how she's doing.
Of all these eggs in this clutch, very few will survive, and this animal was probably born on this beach. They're able to come back to where they were born to lay their eggs again. And this is an ancient ritual that's been going on for millions of years. So it's a real honor to be able to watch this.
It's pretty cool that we're here to capture it.
She's almost done. We're going to try not to disturb her at all until she finishes and buries her eggs and then returns to the sea.
Brought to you by Think Out Loud Productions.
Nice. Those Paxton brothers. The eggs have a typical incubation period of 60 days, although this varies according to the air temperature. So they lay there under the sand for 2 months. The eggs are leathery at the time the mother lays them. All reptiles lay leathery eggs, which means their shell feels like leather. It's different from a bird egg where the shell is hard. As they incubate, they become more brittle, making it easier for the hatchlings to escape the egg. So the little babies can't break out when it's leathery. It has to become brittle, and only then can they break out. Of course, they are ready to go until they're brittle. So, sea turtles, like many reptiles, exhibit temperature-dependent sex determination.
Isn't it like whatever the temperature is determines how?
Yeah, and I
male or
can't.
female?
I'm trying to see. I don't remember if it's warmer, they become male, and if it's cooler, they become female, or if it's vice versa. But it's one of those. Oh, here we go. Almost all eggs incubated at lower temperatures hatch as males. Most of those incubated at higher temperatures hatch as females. There are concerns that a global temperature rise could seriously affect sex ratios in sea turtles and other marine reptiles.
So are usually all eggs in the same clutch turn out to be the same?
I guess so, because they'd all be about the same temperature.
That's what happens.
It's I don't know. It's some kind of switch on the DNA that's turned on or off if enough of a protein is produced. And I don't know if you remember about how molecules work, but molecules move faster when it's warmer. So there'd be more of this protein or whatever being produced when it's warmer, and if you get enough of this certain protein, it turns on a little switch in the DNA that codes for being female. And if you don't get enough of it, the switch is never turned on, and you end up male. It's something like that. It's pretty complicated. But it has to do with DNA controls and switches and stuff. And we learned about that in MarineBio. We talked about it a bit. When I went to the Galapagos, you could snorkel, and I took this picture underwater. That's one of the guys in our group, just following around a sea turtle. I'm not sure what kind that is. And they were all over the place. We were in a boat going around, and they were just swimming under the boat. I think that's a green sea turtle there. That picture's out of focus. See if we can see. Yeah, I took this video of this turtle.
You got a shot there?
Everybody's trying to get pictures up there all in my way. He disappeared in the bushes. We were on a little boat in a mangrove forest. There's another one.
There's no remains because in the mating season, the rivers
We're looking for girlfriends.
That guy talking is our guide. He's telling us again. Yeah, it's not as good as the Paxton Brothers video, sorry. My camera wasn't very good.
Now, many creatures call this place home.
This is a good
One ancient resident has lived here for decades. A loggerhead turtle. He rises late in the morning, enjoys a deep breath of fresh air, and begins his day of hunting on the reef. The loggerhead loves shellfish. There's tender meat protected within the heavy shell of this horse conch. The turtle's powerful beak makes short work of the conch. Now the difficult part, separating meat from crushed shell. A pair of hands would be useful now, but the loggerhead will have to make do with flippers. They're great for swimming, but really awkward at mealtime. The first course complete, the turtle moves on in search of the next item on the menu.
Pretty cool. You just crush those shells with their jaws. Another thing they like to eat are jellyfish. And that's another reason why sea turtles are going extinct. Because people throw out plastic bags blow into the ocean or whatever, and it looks like a jellyfish. And the turtle will eat it, and the bag will get stuck in its digestive system. And it won't be able to swallow enough food. it'll die from starvation.
How long is their average lifespan?
They can live a long time. I want to say maybe like 60, 70, 80 years. It probably depends on the species. It might be longer than that. The giant tortoises that live on the Galapagos can live hundreds of years, 150, 200 years. And so I don't know if these things live that long. They have kind of a slow metabolism, and so that's at the Smithsonian, I think I could. So we're going to go to the Turtle Center and see more about talk more about sea turtles when we get there. How about snakes? 55 species of sea snakes. We don't have them here. Found only in the Indian and Pacific Ocean. Bites from sea snakes can be fatal for humans. Sea snakes are related to the cobra and have powerful venom. Divers have died from getting bit by sea snakes. Sea snakes are not aggressive and bites are rare. Usually only get bit when you're screwing around with the sea snake. Trey, you get any of that? No, you don't. So we don't get these around here. We're not too worried about them, but I got some video footage I'll show you. Yeah. Uh-huh. There's a sea snake. All of these organisms, all these reptiles, they don't have gills, they have lungs, and they take breaths of air from the surface. They can hold their breath for a long time. Sea turtles might be able to hold their breath for an hour or more. And probably the snakes can do it for a long time too. There's some divers messing around with some snakes. It's a good way to get bit. Be careful. Here's a sea snake video.
Mid-year is the calm, dry season of the South Pacific. It's the perfect time for Dr. Fry and Brendan Basisi's first venture into the Sea of Snakes.
To me, Niue is basically the lost Eden. First off, because I like snakes, and there's just thousands of snakes here for me to play with. And secondly, as a mad diver, I love new adventures, and the visibility here is just spectacular. The kind of visibility that you would never get anywhere else.
It's an ideal place to collect secrets. Only mature animals will give sufficient venom samples, and Dr. Fry needs plenty. His research might one day lead to breakthroughs in medicine to treat diseases like epilepsy or leukemia.
As a general rule, whenever I'm working with a venomous snake, I try to take as many safety precautions as possible. Not only because I'm working with an animal that's potentially deadly, but they seem to be a bit more aggressive than some of the other species of sea kite that I've worked with. After a couple encounters where I've looked down and found one chewing merrily upon my hand, I've been quite glad that I've been wearing the gloves.
Fry must catch the snakes alive. But he needs to make sure the snakes surface before they run out of air. A balloon is all it takes to float them up, so he can continue to catch snakes and later milk their venom. It's a deadly package that slowly makes its way to the surface.
Okay?
They're just like chill.
Bag of snakes.
I feel like it's kind of stupid to grab them and at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know why he's doing that. He didn't have protection on his face. What if it bit him in the face? I guess they know what they're doing. Okay. What about marine iguanas? Marine iguanas you only find in one place, the Galapagos. That's the only place in the world you find them. They only spend a portion of their time in the water, even though they're called marine. A lot of the time they spend on land. They dive to feed on seagrass near the shore. They also eat algae. A large portion of their day is spent basking on the shore to warm up their dives in the cold water surrounding the Galapagos. The Galapagos Islands, even though they're on the equator, have cold water because it's a cold current that comes along the coast of South America and comes up and surrounds the Galapagos. And so you got to remember these marine iguanas, they're cold-blooded. So when they get in the water, their body temperature starts going down. And so what these things will do is they'll dive. They'll eat. They're vegetarians, so they eat. They're eating all these seagrasses that are on the bottom of the ocean there, and they start cooling off. And then when they start to get real cold, they come back to shore. They crawl up on the rocks on the shore, and they lay there till they warm back up enough, and then they go diving again. So it's just a series of diving, eating as much as you can, then going back on shore and laying out in the sun. And they just do that over and over again all day. And these things were all over the place at the Galapagos. And it'd be funny, you'd be snorkeling and there a iguana would just go right past you. Got it? There's a marine iguana. They also have land iguanas at the Galapagos, but those never go in the water. But the marine iguanas do. There's me with a bunch of iguanas. Look at that one's looking at the bird. That's ocean in the background. Is that a good picture? One of my favorite pictures. I took that underwater. There's a marine iguana. They kind of munching on the little plants that are growing on the rocks. Also took that one underwater. He's swimming right by me. They're just laying there trying to warm up. Their bodies get so cold. See, the colder their body gets, the lower their metabolism is.
Did you touch him?
Yeah, they asked you not to. I touched one just to see what it felt like. But once they get cold, they can't hardly move, and they get so cold they barely make it back to shore, and then they just lay out. There's no predators there that eat them. They're camouflaged really well, so they blend in. You see, they're laying all over the place here. See them? They're all over. Look at them. That's my boot. Sea lion. Our group's just hanging around waiting for the boat to come get us.
Just hanging out. Come across there, you know, like, you have to go, whoa.
So this is one crawling up on the cactuses. There's a bunch of cactuses around in the iguanas. It's eating on the cactus. That's a land iguana, though. That's not a marine iguana.
Another one, that one. There it goes.
They got those real tall cactuses over there.
My mom used to have a pet iguana, and it was huge, and it didn't have a cage, they just let it go around the house.
Oh, yeah?
For like her
Is it
whole
about
life.
that size? Yeah. This is, I got a shot of this swimming. See, there's one. Swimming. He's coming back in. Yay, marine iguanas.
Sea lions won't eat them.
What's that?
Sea lions won't eat them.
Nope. They won't. I'm not sure why. It's a good question. Finally, the saltwater crocodile.
What about like alligators? Are those marine reptiles?
No, alligators are freshwater.
But they're in like rivers.
Well, they're only in rivers for limited amounts of time. And usually, it's brackish water that they're in.
There's an alligator in our garage once.
In your garage?
Yeah, we don't have it in our garage, and we left the garage doors open every night. And it left.
Really? How big?
It wasn't
A
that
little,
big.
kind of a little
But
one.
we lived like. Yeah, we found them.
Park and I were playing a golf course in Mexico, and they were all over crocodiles.
Oh, really? They'll hang out. They like freshwater really more than saltwater.
They're a lot bigger.
But sometimes the saltwater gets so diluted that they'll go in and stay for a while. So you do see them in some of the saltwater rivers around.
They get 30 feet long.
Yeah. Saltwater crocodiles, Australia, Indian Ocean, and Western Pacific. So we don't have those around here. Found in estuaries, mangrove swamps, rivers, and the open ocean. Eats all type of prey, including humans. Reaches lengths of over 30 feet. Individuals over 20 feet are rare. It's not secretive like the American crocodile. It's an aggressive hunter. And they'll attack. And usually there's a few people every year that die from crocodiles eating them.
Have a video?
Yeah, I do.
Want to eat something?
I don't have any of one eating something.
Pretty good.
I'll let y'all get these notes. Crocodiles and alligators, they're basically just dinosaurs that never went extinct. They're not really dinosaurs, but they're like them. They're big reptiles that somehow managed to survive when the big meteor hit and ended up killing all the dinosaurs. And so these organisms haven't really changed much in several 100 million years. Just do their thing.
That didn't make marine animals go extinct, did it?
Oh yeah, it did. Even marine, especially all the marine dinosaurs went extinct. And it's because any large creature back then needed a lot of food. And when that meteor hit and threw up all the debris, it made everything real cold, and there wasn't much photosynthesis going on, so there wasn't much food. So anything that ate a lot of food ended up dying out. And that included all the large creatures on the earth, even the ones in the ocean. That one's going after that guy. Crocodiles look like alligators, but there are differences. Usually they have pointier snouts. The crocodile is more aggressive. There's something about the way their jaws hinge.
The teeth on the outside.
Crocodile teeth are on the outside. Let's see, the alligator is upper jaw can open and close, but the crocodile is might be either both jaws or lower. Can't remember. Whoops, I don't have a video. Let's find a video. Want to? Saltwater crocodile.
That one.
No.
Frog versus the great white. That'd be awesome. It's got 2 million views. It's got to be good.
Okay, let's see this one.
Northern Australia is home to one of the world's largest reptiles, the saltwater croc. Weighing up to a massive 2,000 pounds and reaching lengths of 23 feet, these are the monsters of the croc world. And they've got personalities to match.
You compare saltwater crocodiles with something like an American alligator, and there's no doubt that saltwater crocodiles are a lot more dangerous. And for a start, they can get a lot bigger. They can be 3 or 4 times the weight. And any animal that big, obviously, is capable of taking large prey, and that includes humans.
In the Northern Territories, attacks on people are rising.
In some places, the crocs are becoming so bold, they're losing their fear of humans. Like Florida, increased numbers are part of the issue. Around 40 years ago, there were just a few thousand adult crocodiles left in these waters, making them critically endangered. So their species received protective status.
What was not understood at the time was how quickly they were going to recover, and they recovered a lot faster than people thought.
Experts believe there are now over 80,000 crocs in the Northern Territories, and these salties aren't fussy about where they live.
Saltwater crocodiles, although their name implies that they maybe only live in salt water, they'll range anywhere. They'll be on the coast, they'll be on islands, they'll be out at sea, they'll go in tidal rivers, swamps. If they can get into your bathtub, they'll get into it. You know, they'll just about go anywhere.
Saltwater crocs.
Go back and do the versus great white.
Right here?
Yeah. It's got 2 millimeters. It's gotta be 6.
If it comes up.
Saltwater crocodiles have the strongest bite of any animal. They've been found with shark remains in their stomachs, perhaps great whites. A great white is more than a match for a fleshy seal. But what about a well-armored croc? When croc meets shark off the coast of Australia, there will be only one survivor. When they go head-to-head on Animal Face-Off. Opponent 1, the saltwater crocodile. A male saltwater crocodile can grow 23 feet long and weigh 3,000 pounds. He's the largest reptile on the planet. The great white is the largest predatory shark. A female can be 23 feet long and weigh 7,500 pounds, more than twice as heavy as the croc. And teeth, 7 rows of 56 pearly whites. Off the coast of Australia, a solitary great white cruises close to